Hey, what's up, guys? Raymaster Flex here. I'm gonna do a video on NXT, the Great American Bash review. Now, I'm gonna just go ahead and do both nights on this video because both nights have already taken place, and then I'll probably do a separate video of the AEW Fighter Fest Night 1, Night 2. Um, it's a lot of matches, so I'm not gonna particularly go in order here with the nights, but let's get right down into it. So for night one, for NXT the Great American Bash, you had the fatal four-way between Mia Yim, Tegan Knox, Dakota Kai, and Candice LeRae. This was actually an elimination fatal four-way match, and funny enough, Candice LeRae actually got eliminated first by Mia Yim with the protect your neck. This was a really good fatal four-way match. There was a lot of good spots, high spots in this match, and you could just see the tension between Mia Yim and Candice LeRae continue to build here in this matchup, and you know just by me and eliminating Candice LeRae first, you could see that the tension was going to boil up as when the match was over later on the night. And then we saw eventually Dakota Kai would eliminate Mia Yim, and it would come down to Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. I honestly thought Dakota Kai was going to win this match. I'm pretty surprised that Tegan Knox is finally getting a opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship. So I thought it was shocking to see Tegan Knox get the victory. I expected Dakota Kai to win here, especially with the way she'd been built lately on NXT, but I was surprised to see Tegan Knox get the victory. And it's going to be interesting because she's getting a title opportunity against Io Shirai. I believe this is Io Shirai's first title defense since she won the title in NXT in your house. And, you know, I'm not really sure if Io Shirai is a tweener now or a babyface. So it's kind of going to be interesting because you have between the middle of the tweener babyface, and then you got the babyface Tegan Knox squaring off against each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how they book this match. But Tegan Knox finally got a title opportunity against Io Shirai in a really, really good fatal four-way match where she won with Shining Wizard and Dakota Kai. Really amazing matchup here to kick off the show. Also, this pretty much foreshadowed for night two because later on in the night you had Candice LeRae go into a backstage brawl with Mia Yim, which basically set up a street fight between them in night two. You also had Isaiah Swerve trying to push, Candice LeRae off of Mia Yim, which would also set up for Johnny Gargano to face Isaiah Swerve in night two as he told him to get off his wife. And then you had that whole excitement that went on. So it was a pretty good setup for night two. Really, like I said, really solid, really good fatal four-way women's elimination match to kick off the show. And then you had Rhea Ripley taking on Robert Stone. I believe his client's name is Leah. I would say this. She looked really good in this match. I expected Rhea Ripley to get the victory here. It's just kind of sad to see what they've done with her ever since she was in that triple threat match in NXT in your house. They really haven't been doing that much with Rhea Ripley on NXT ever since that match. So, it was kind of sad to see that how she's kind of falling down NXT ever since she lost the title to Charlotte at WrestleMania. But again, though, it was a pretty good handicap match. I expected Rhea Ripley to win here. Robert Stone multiple times tried to persuade Rhea Ripley to join his brand, and that was the premise. And that was actually the stipulation: is that if Rhea Ripley had lost the match, that she would have to join Robert Stone brand. It was something that he basically tried to demand for William Regal to put into the match as a stipulation because he had already Aaliyah had already lost against Rhea Ripley in a match the previous week on NXT. This was the same match where he tried to throw his shoe at Rhea Ripley, which backfired because every time this man has tried to get someone to join his brand ever since Chelsea Green left him, it just hasn't worked out well for him. So it was a pretty good match. I didn't really see all of it because I was flicking back and forth with the channels. But from what I've seen, they made Aaliyah really look good in this matchup here, and Rhea Ripley picked up the victory as needed. And it should be interesting to see where they go moving forward with Rhea Ripley here. So next up, you had you had really this was a really good match. You had Timothy Thatcher going against Oni Lurkin, and this was a technical style matchup here. A lot of submission holds, a lot of a submission type of match. I really like what they're doing with Timothy Thatcher. This was a good way to kind of build him up more. Ever since they moved Matt Riddle to the main roster to SmackDown, you've seen these vignettes they've been showing with Timothy Thatcher, with him teaching these guys at his little wrestling school, teaching these guys different moves and stuff, basically hurting them, showing them how to do different moves. So this was a really good match between him and Oni Lurkin. I really enjoyed this match. A lot of back and forth between the two, a lot of technical moves against him. He actually won by, it was kind of like an armbar type of submission where he pulled Only Lurkin's arm, and Only Lurkin eventually tapped out to it. But Only Lurkin looked good here. He hit him with a couple of uppercuts. He slapped him a couple of times. You could see the intensity of Only Lurkin. So they did a pretty good job with this matchup here. I probably would say that this was one of my favorite matches of the night. Um, for night one. Definitely the submission match between Oni Lurkin and Timothy Thatcher was really, really good. I really enjoyed this match a lot. I thought they had a decent amount of time in this match. Just a really good matchup between the two. And Timothy Thatcher picked up the win here. So, again, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Timothy Thatcher moving forward, especially with the way that they're booking him here with these you can see that he's going to wrestle technical style matches, and to have someone like Oni Lurkin as the first guy he's faced, really since he beat Matt Riddle in that cage match with Kurt Angle as the referee, which was an excellent matchup there as well. It's the first time we've even seen him in a televised match since then, and he looked really good. Both guys looked amazing here. I'm glad he picked up the win, and just a really good matchup between them. Next up, you had Dexter Loomis going against Rod Roderick Strong. It was like a strap match. I believe that's what the stipulation was. This was probably the longest match for night one on the card. Um, another decent matchup here. I'm not gonna say that it was bad or anything like that. It was decent. I was it was pretty, for once Roger Strong couldn't run from Dexter Loomis like he tried to do the previous week where he got himself counted out. He's been terrified by him ever since he threw him in a dump, threw him in threw him in the back of the car in the truck. I mean, in the back of the car. You threw him in the back of there for like endless hours at NXT Takeover in your house. He's pretty much have been traumatized since then. Roger Strong was the only guy in the group who always just couldn't stand. And they had this whole thing where he was going to therapy, trying to overcome, his fear of Dexter Loomis. And he actually ended up going into the trunk. And, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly actually convinced him to go inside of the trunk to face his fear, to conquer his fears. And, he conquered his fears and still ended up running away from him the previous week on NXT. But, this week that week that did not happen. They went toe to toe. And as much as he tried to get him, he had a couple of moves here. As much as he tried to defeat Dexter Loomis. It wasn't enough for Dexter Loomis ended up picking up the victory here, and it was like I said, another decent match. I mean, this match again was probably the longest match for night one, definitely. So it was decent for what it was. And then, the final match for night one, you had Io Shirai taking on Sasha Banks, champion versus champion. Io, NXT Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, the one half of the Women Tag Team Champions. Another good matchup right here. This match was really good. Both women, the women's division has just been on fire lately, and this just proved to be even more on fire. She hit her with a couple of, um, you know, she hit her with a couple of her moves. At one point, she had her in the bank statement, but she tried to get Bailey to help her, the throne Io Shirai, only for Asuka to pop out of nowhere and blow the green mist in Sasha Banks' face, which essentially helped Io Shirai win with like the moonsault and defeat Sasha Banks. So really, really good matchup right here. Between Sasha and Io, this was just like I said, a really good matchup between the two. Definitely, Sasha Banks has just been looking incredible, and Io Shirai, she definitely, you know, benefited from this match as well. Again, really the first time we've seen her really in a match since she won the title at NXT House. So this was a really good matchup between her and Sasha Banks, the main event night one. Smart move right here. Definitely. Um, she hit her with a couple of, Sasha hit her with some really good meteoras in this match. And Io Shirai, Io Shirai is just incredible. So we got these two combinations of just two really, really good women wrestlers here. You're gonna get a great match out of them. So this match right here was a really, really good matchup here. I definitely enjoyed this a lot. Like I said, Io Shirai picked up the win after Asuka came out of nowhere through the green mist in Sasha Banks' face, and Io Shirai hit the moonsault for the victory here. So it was a really good match to end off night one. And then you go to night two. Night two kicks off with Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim in the street fight. This is the second women's street fight since Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox earlier this year. Of course, this is when Gonzalez, Raquel Gonzalez, this is when she made a return and it ended up helping Dakota Kai win that match. So this was a really, really good match to kick off the show for night two here. Candice actually hit like a neck breaker um, from like the trash can to like a chair to pin Mia Yim for the victory. She actually hit her with like some keys or something that Mia tried to pull out of her pockets to attack Candice LeRae. So this was a pretty good match to kick off the show here for night two between Candice and Mia Yim. You can just see the tension. This tension has been boiling up between them ever since the Johnny Gargano Keith Lee feud. And Johnny Gargano, I'll touch on him in a moment, but you could just see this feud between them has been going on ever since the Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano feud when they squared off at NXT Takeover in Your House. Even prior to that, when Johnny Gargano picked up a victory, and that's when he hit Keith Lee with his keys in that mixed tag team match. We teamed up with Candice LeRae. That one spot where Keith Lee fell on top with Candice LeRae. So they've been going at it ever since. And again, this match here, you had one spot where Mia Yim actually kicked Candice LeRae and she fell like on a table or something while they were backstage or on the top of the stage or so. And that was another pretty crazy spot. You had a spot where she went for a senton on Candice LeRae with the trash can on top of Candice LeRae. So you had a lot of really good spots here in this matchup between the two. They got a decent amount of time, and Candice LeRae, the goal that her and Johnny have is to take over to both be champions. And I do think that eventually Candice will win the title. And it's actually interesting when you think about it because it was Io Shirai who turned on Candice LeRae when she first turned heel. And now Candice LeRae is a heel herself. So you start to wonder if eventually Candice LeRae maybe it gets some revenge on Io Shirai from doing that at the time. And if this is going to set up a match eventually, if they're going to square off, I know that her and Tegan Knox are going at it for the title, but you start to wonder if eventually Candice LeRae is going to get a title opportunity and win the NXT Women's Championship at some point. You can only hope to wonder, at some point. You only hope to wonder that something like that would happen. I also think Candice, she used her husband's Gargano escape at one point in this match with him. So there was a lot of really good spots here. And Candice LeRae, like I said, picked up the victory in a really, really good match here to kick off night two. Next up, you have Bronson Reed taking on Tony Nese. The seems as if the whole thing with Bronson Reed has been that he's been going after people who's been practically bullying. So he's like almost like the bully protector who, he goes after people who is disrespecting or just abusing another wrestler for no apparent reason. And that's pretty much what Tony Nese did. He can, this jobber, this guy that's been wrestling as a jobber, he attacked him after beating him in the matchup. So, this is pretty much what Bronson Reed's been doing. Pretty much they've had him as this guy who been protecting the wrestlers who have been hurt or beat or stuff like that. This was another decent matchup here. You don't see Bronson Reed on NXT that often. I mean, the last time I seen him was when he faced Karrion Kross, which is what they mentioned on commentary, how he tried to square off with Karrion Kross, which he did pretty decently, ended up losing the match. But this was a pretty good matchup as well between him and Tony Nese. He picked up a victory after going for a splash. Tony Nese tried to make it seem as though it was all about his abs in this match, tried to flex and stuff, and it backfired. Bronson Reed proved otherwise, hit him with a heavy clothesline, went for a splash in the top rope, picked up the victory. Tony Nese looked pretty good in this match as well. Got Bronson Reed with some pretty decent moves here. So, it was another good matchup here. This was okay for what it was. Nice to see Bronson Reed pick up a victory here. In this matchup right here with Tony Nese. Yeah. So it was a pretty good matchup. And then next up, you had the 6-man tag match. You had Santos Esteban and his little faction. I can't get their names off the top of my head, but you had him as a little faction taking on Drake Maverick and Fandango and Tyler Breeze. So this was a pretty good 6-man tag team match between the three here. And you kind of knew that Santos and his team was going to win this because this is their first time actually wrestling together as a team. But Drake looked good here. You could tell that he really wanted to get his hands on Santos because he continuously kept looking at him, saying, "I'm going to get you." And you could just see the aggression from Drake Maverick. Compared to what he was doing. And don't get me wrong. I like what he was doing for the 24/7 title. I thought that was very entertaining. But to see this serious side of him, and I know he was an Impact for a long time, but to see this serious side of him and just seeing how aggressive he's been ever since Santos ended up being a part of the little gang, took his mask off and attacked Drake Maverick when he tried to congratulate him for his win. The Cruiserweight Championship. So it was really it's been pretty good. Drake Maverick is a really good wrestler. He was able to eventually get his hands on Santos Escobar. You know, Fandango and Tyler Breeze, they look pretty good in this match as well. And his team, his faction, you know, they looked really good here. All the guys were able to shine. At one point, one of them did like a splash outside of the ring. You know, so it was a lot of big spots here in this matchup here. Really, really good big spots up here. Um, I really enjoyed this match, and Santos picked up the victory for his team here. Take nothing away from Drake. I think down the line they're going to have a rematch for the cruiserweight championship. Definitely, you can see it here. I like the entrance that Tyler Breeze and Fandango had as well. They came out with Conquistador masses and with the really good entrance music, and then they took it off, and that's when you saw Drake Maverick with a serious face on. So, like I said, the six-man tag match is really good. Uh, both teams look good here, and much needed win for Santos and his group to know, make them as a more credible faction here. And next up, you had uh, Johnny Gargano taking on Isaiah Swerve. This match right here, I would probably say for night one, um, the Fatal Four-Way Women's match. Okay, so for night one, it's kind of like a three-way tie for me. Like I would say, for night one, my favorite match for night one, you got the Sasha Io Shirai match, you got the Fatal Four-Way Women's match, then you also have the Timothy Thatcher only worker. I would honestly say that for me personally, my personal taste, that match was probably my favorite out of for night one. And then, Sasha makes Io Shirai would be right behind it, and then the Fatal Four Women's match would be my third one. But that match, which is very technical, I really, really enjoyed that match. But take nothing away from the women because they're right behind it, definitely. And then for night two, I gotta say that this match was probably my favorite match of the night. Um, the main event I love the main event as well with Keith Lee and Adam Cole, definitely. This match here was just very special. So you had Isaiah Swerve and John Gargano. Both guys looked really, really good here. They were constantly countering each other. You know, every time Isaiah tried to go for a move, uh, Gargano would counter, Isaiah would counter, whatever Gargano tried to go for. A lot of good counters in this matchup. Johnny actually ended up winning with a swinging DDT, like it was like a tornado DDT or swinging DDT, they call it, or whatever. And again, just a really good match. There's like a moonsault from outside the ring. Um, I think at one point he hit him with a super kick. So it was a lot of creative moves here between both guys. I thought this match was really good. I really this match right here, they did a heck of a job. Both guys busted their asses off. John Gargano picked up the win here. But Isaiah Swerve take nothing away from him because he took the fight to Johnny Gargano. And, definitely this matchup right here, I would have to say is probably one of my favorite matches of night two. Night two is a three-way tie to me, too, because night two, you got this match, you got Cancer Ray, Yin Yang match, and then you have the main event with Keith Lee and Adam Cole. I probably would say for night two, that the me and Yim and Cancer Ray match is probably uh, my second favorite, right behind Isaiah Swerve and Johnny Gargano. And then the Keith Lee Adam Cole match. So yeah, it's just really hard to say, man, because the women killed me. They definitely killed me both nights. But yeah, this match was incredible. You know, both guys just really busted out a lot of creative moves, a lot of counters and everything in this matchup. And again, Johnny Gargano picked up the win here. And then the main event, you had Keith Lee against Adam Cole. For the winner takes all North American NXT Championship. Man, you know, I just gotta say that this was a really feel good moment for Keith Lee to dethrone Adam Cole. Adam Cole has had an amazing reign as the NXT champion for the past year. He's defeated all comers, you know, from Pete Dunne to uh, you know Johnny Gargano to Tommaso Ciampa in their matchup. He had a series of matches with Johnny Gargano, you know, Tommaso Ciampa, even Finn Balor. Like he's defeated all comers, Velveteen Dream, everybody's come his way, but Keith Lee, you know, was the one guy to dethrone him. And Keith Lee has just been on fire within recent months. I've grown to be a huge fan of Keith Lee, specifically because of his matches with Dominic Dijakovic. Now I know they had matches in PWG and other promotions prior to that that were some of the best matches, but you know when they started having those matches on NXT, their little trilogy that they had, you know that really made me have a lot more respect for Keith. You know, really start to love Keith Lee, and I'll never forget the Spanish Fly that Keith Lee did to Diamond Dijakovic in one of their matches on NXT. So that was what really had me start to love Keith Lee. And then, you know, he was able to shine at Survivor Series, which they mentioned on commentary, how he was able to shine at Survivor Series last year. He was one of the remaining members of the NXT team against Raw and SmackDown. He actually eliminated Seth Rollins, and it came down to him and Roman Reigns when he hit Roman Reigns with the Spirit Bomb, and everybody came out their seats because they thought Keith Lee was going to actually win for NXT. You know, and you know, he got his moment to shine at Survivor Series in an incredible match. He also got his moment at the Royal Rumble to take down Brock Lesnar a few times in that match. So you know he's just been on fire in recent months. Um, You know, he actually defeated Roderick Strong back in January to win the North American Championship. He's been North American champion ever since. He's had really good title defenses. Specifically, I would say, you know, his match with Johnny that they had at NXT TakeOver was incredible. His match he had with Damian Priest on NXT when he defended his belts. That was another good match. Damian Priest looked really good in that match. That was another good match between where he defended his belt. His title defense with Diamond Dijakovic, where they faced off at NXT TakeOver Portland. Just another great matchup between those two. So he's just been amazing lately, and you know to see him get this victory here after it looked as though um, you know Adam Cole went for about two Shining Wizards, I believe, and Keith Lee kicked out of both of them. He went for a Canadian Destroyer twice, and Keith Lee kicked out of it, and he hit Adam Cole with Spirit Bomb, but Adam Cole managed to get a finger on the ropes to prevent himself from being pinned and from losing the match. And eventually, he picked Adam Cole up again, hit him with another Spirit Bomb, hit him with Big Bang Catastrophe, which is basically like a jackhammer. Ended up winning the NXT championship while still holding the North American title. You could see that they had Karrion Kross with his girlfriend Scarlett, excuse me, Scarlett, looking looked like they were looking from some type of rod or some type of glass or something. It was just looking, you know, just scouting uh, Keith Lee as they had the confettis and the little celebration when he won that belt, holding both titles in his hand. And it's definitely history making to say that Keith Lee, you know, is you know he's the first person to hold the NXT North American and the NXT Championship. So I heard the rumors that an NXT takeover in August it's going to be Karrion Cross challenging Keith Lee for the belt, but I hope it's only for the North American title. I think, if anything, they should at least have him hold on to the NXT Championship for quite some time. I mean, Adam Cole was just champion for a whole year, so Keith Lee definitely deserves to hold that belt for a lengthy amount of time before dropping it. I mean, the North American Championship, if he loses that belt, it won't affect me that much because he's been champion for about a good 7 months now or so. But at least let him hold the NXT Championship for a while. I know that they want to immediately push Aaron Cross, but he just came to the roster. I think it would be way too soon for him to win the belt right now. Down the line, he could win it, but I just think right now it's Keith Lee's time to shine and hold the NXT Championship. For the time being. So that's a that's something else to point out here. Just hope that he holds the belt for quite some time. So like I said, overall both nights they were pretty good. Both main events definitely delivered. The Sasha and Io Shirai match, excellent matchup there. Keith Lee and Adam Cole, another good matchup. And Keith Lee made history. So, both matches definitely were just really, really amazing matchups here. And that's pretty much it, guys, for this review here on NXT, the Great American Bash. And I'll probably do a video on AEW Fighter Fest Night 1 and 2.